My name is Huang Yu, metric number 2512116. I choose company Bintulu Part Holdings Berhad. This article will provide an overview of Bintulu Port Holdings Berhad. The background of this company is an investment holding company. The subsidiaries provide post-service and book installation facilities for palm oil, edible oils, vegetable oils, fats, and their byproducts in Port Bintulu, Sarawak. The problem of the company. Liquidity risk refers to the risk of failing to complete a transaction at the ideal time due to insufficient market volume or a lack of willing counterparties. If a company lacks cash and investments to repay its debts, it may face the risk of failure, which is the liquidity risk of this report. Extreme liquidity will lead to bank failure, so liquidity risk is a fatal risk, but such extreme are often the result of other risks. For example, a big loss to company caused by a default by a large customer could trigger liquidity problems and debates about the bank's future, enough to trigger a massive capital withdrawal or cause other financial institutions and companies to freeze their credit lines to prevent a possible default. For research objective is internal factors that can affect liquidity risk, external factors that affect liquidity risk, and the influence and the relationship between external factors and external factors on profitability. The research questions are internal factors and external factors related to liquidity risk. The second one is are the external and the internal factors of liquidity risk interrelated? And the last one is, does any relationship between both internal and external factors towards liquidity risk? For literature review, the 2.1 is credit risk. Peter Ho and David Stokes believe that institutional consistency helps push the macroeconomic forward. Countries with corporate governance arrangements, labor relations system, and other institutions that are aligned with the coordination of the market economic or the free market economic are expected to perform better, while countries with less consistent institutional frameworks are expected to perform worse. For market risk, enterprises are the root cause of the problem of unemployment, and they must also assume the responsibility of social employment while exercising their power. Under the correct guideline of the government, enterprises have greatly strengthened the awareness of corporate ethical responsibility by identifying effective internal, effective, and effective supervision maxims, but the Caroline Farmer also proposed of his report. For methodology introduction, this section uses primary and auxiliary data to appropriately summarize Bintulu Port Holdings research methods. For sampling technique, the analysis unit is a practical element that needs to be analyzed and discussed when researching the topic. In order to conduct better research, we selected a company as a sample and extracted data from the 2015 to 2019 annual reports to measure the company's dependent variables from 2015 to 2019, that is the average accounts receivable, and the internal factors and external factors. For statistic analysis, it will find out the law of development through the investigation and storming a large amount of the fruit data. Science analysis identified the problems and the weakness in business management and plan implementation and find out the reasons, propose practical solutions to the problem, or suggest. For the data analysis, analyze the results by linear regression method. Regression analysis is a model composed of statistical sets. This article needs to study the dependent variable and two independent variables. For correlation, from the table, internal variables which are return on asset, average collection period, operational ratio, and operational margin shows positive value which quick ratio. The positive relationship indicates when quick ratio increased, the value of return on asset, average collection period, operational ratio, and operational margin increased. When quick ratio decreased, the value of return on asset, average collection period, operational ratio, and operational margin decreased. However, only debit to income shows negative value with quick ratio. The negative relationship indicates when quick ratio increased, the value of debit to income decreased. When quick ratio decreased, the value of debit to income increased. The external variables which are in interest rate shows negative value with quick ratio. The negative relationship indicates when quick ratio increased, the value of interest rate increased. However, GDP, inflation, and exchange rate shows positive value with quick ratio. The positive relationship indicates when quick ratio increased, the value of GDP, inflation, and exchange rate increased. When quick ratio decreased, the value of GDP, inflation, and exchange rate decreased. Model summary of Pintuilio liquidity risk are internal and external factors. For model summary, model is acceptable since 99.3 variation in quick ratio of Pintuilio's explained by interest rate and debit to income. Based on the model summary table, the risk squared of 0.993 implies that the interest rate and debit to income independent variables explain about 99.3 of the variation in the quick ratio of Pintuilio's company. The other 0.7 are unknown and maybe with their other variables that did not mention here. For ANOVA, multiple linear regression was applied to examine the best set of values in predicting the liquidation of company. The ANOVA table revealed that the F value at 146.252 is large and the corresponding P value is highly significant at 0.007, and can be seen that the P value is lower than the alpha value of 0.05. This indicates that slope of the estimated is linear correlation between quick ratio and debit to income. The large F value and the small P value will reject the hypothesis that establish the validity of the linear model. The result showed the null hypothesis is rejected and accept one which there is significant between quick ratio and interest rate and debit to income. For coefficient, the coefficient analysis shows the independent variables affect the dependent variable. The coefficient table shows that interest rate and debit to income has the highest negativity correlated with the quick ratio. This shows that any change in the interest rate and debit to income will affect the quick ratio. The less important the variables are, the more important the company needs to pay attention. The result shows that the interest rate is 0.019 and debit to income is 0.017, which means that is strong and negative impact on quick ratio. Beta shows a negative correlation, negative 0.779 and negative 0.438 between quick ratio and interest rate and debit to income. In addition, the T value of negative 12.798 and negative 7.194 means that the fluctuation interest rate and debit to income will make greater impact of quick ratio. It's because when the larger the T number, the greater the impact. For conclusion and the recommendations, this objective of this study is to analyze the relationship between firm-specific towards liquidation of company. Based on the result, and SPSS analysis about interest rate and debit to income has a significant relationship with quick ratio. The fluctuation of interest rate and debit to income will give huge impact to liquidation of company. firm should focus on the debate control and interest rate of country. This is because debate income and interest rate will decrease, resulting to an increase in the liquidation level of company. So companies should pay attention to the movement of interest rate changes and debate control because both of there is an important factor that decide the liquidation of company, especially logistic industry. That's all for Bintulu Port Holdings Company. Thank you.